All right, gonna make another video. This is gonna be vinyl hauls for November 2017 still. This is just gonna be pop and kind of miscellaneous as well. I'm gonna go as quick as I can. I think I'm just gonna do kind of like, I'll talk a little bit about my favorites, but then I'm just gonna go quickly through the rest. One album that I picked up, this one I found in Indiana. I haven't seen it since either, so I'm super glad I picked it up. It is the story of Dracula, the story of Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein. This is a Halloween record. I actually had this record when I was a kid, and it's a storybook with a comic in it that you can read along. And this is actually a pretty good story. I actually really enjoy it. I think it's actually really well done. And, you know, it mixes all three of those classic, you know, monsters and creates one story that connects all of these characters, which is pretty amazing. Not easy to do, I would think. So I thought they did a pretty good job. And yeah, it has even the dings to tell you when to turn the page and everything. It's on Peter Pan Records. The company that did this did quite a few of these type storybook type records. They did some Marvel and I think Superman or whatever. I'm not 100% sure of the exact ones they did, but I'm pretty sure they did some Marvel characters and maybe some DC, maybe Batman or something like that. But this is one of the only like original stories that I was able to find. If anybody has any ideas for any more original stories from this company or kind of any others, I'd be interested in those. I play this on Halloween every year, and like I said, this was a childhood record that I had. I really like it. It's fun. It brings back memories of, you know, listening to it on my little suitcase record player that I had, where the 12-inch vinyl would hang over the edges. It was so big, or the record player was so small and the records were so big. It was mainly, you know, to play like 45s and stuff, but you could play 12-inch records on it. It's just I think you had to put the suitcase fully flat or something like that. But anyway, I'm sure those records that I had at that time, they're all jacked up. But I am looking for Become Home, I think is what it's called. It's another storybook one for the Peanuts. And it was Snoopy Come Home because he, you know, anyway, it's a story about Snoopy. But that one I would love to have because it would remind me of my childhood as well. Anyway, this was a great find, great pickup. I think I got it really cheap too. And I found this in Indiana on my trip to Indiana. The next album is from 1970. Well, it was originally released in 1977 because that's when the movie came out. This is Goblin, Suspiria. This is a fantastic, you know, Italian horror giallo soundtrack by the band Goblin. They did the Dawn of the Dead soundtrack. They did all, you know, they were kind of one of the originating bands that did a lot of the, you know, synthesized keyboard music for a lot of horror movies, especially the Italian giallo genre. And this is a fantastic, creepy soundtrack. The original movie is fantastic. The remake I really like as well. I like both, honestly. And the remake the soundtrack was done by Tom York, which was good. I wish it, not necessarily done by Goblin, but I wish it was done in the style. But that movie was like completely different still. So it's kind of cool that, you know, you can have Suspiria, the original, and Suspiria, the quote unquote remake, and they're really almost completely different movies. The threads that, like the skeleton of this movie, the story of the story skeleton of this movie was kind of used to make Suspiria. So there's similarities, but they kind of go in completely different directions, which is pretty amazing. And they're both really, really good films, I think. But this Suspiria soundtrack is excellent. I found this mega cheap. I got this at Second and Charles. This was a pickup that was just, like I said, Second and Charles used to be great. They suck now. I see nothing there anymore. I rarely go there anymore. Maybe I'm just missing stuff, but the last time I went there, it was the same stuff that was there almost a year ago. So it's really bad by my house, the one that I can go to. Anyway, fantastic. This one is, okay, now we're going to get into pop records. Yeah, some pop, and then we're going to do some indie as well. This came out January 82. This is The Waitresses. This has the song I Know What Boys Like on it, and this is a really, really good album. It's really kind of a new wave, indie, kind of 80s independent record, a little bit new wavy. But yeah, it's really good. That I Want Candy song is good, but there's a lot of other good songs on here too. The guy who wrote there's a guy in the band, he wrote all the songs on here. He's like the guy behind the Waitresses. Say it was Chris Butler who wrote all the songs. I'll put a subtitle on there if it wasn't. But yeah, it's pretty much his concept, his band, and it's a really good record. It's a good kind of new wavy pop record. I really like it. This album is good. This is probably the best one. If you want to pick up a Waitresses record, I'd pick up this one. Waitresses, good record. Next album I got, this is pretty cool. This one came out October 29th, 84, and this is Frankie Goes to Hollywood. This has Relax on it, and it's a double album. These guys are kind of a political band, actually, of the 80s. You know, a lot of these songs deal with politics, and yeah, they're really good. Obviously, Relax was the song on there, you know, kind of a sexual song. So in a way, they were kind of being political in that way, too, in the 80s. But one of the things that is cool about this record is it's the promo. So you can see, you know, I got the promo on there. But one of the really cool things is it came with all the stills. So it came with all these stills inside. And I think I got this record for like 10 bucks. It was incredibly cheap. And I was like, what? I was like, this is really cool. You know, it came with all this stuff. And, you know, it's really cool to find stuff like this in an album. You know, sometimes you get the promo material, which is like a little letter to the radio station, you know, saying, hey, these are the singles you should play, things like that, which that's pretty cool in itself. But besides that, you know, getting the stills and stuff, and I've seen other people get, you know, the stills and stuff like that for other bands. And these are just, you know, just promo material, which is kind of cool. And yeah, it's, you know, I don't know if this album, if there's a lot of these out there or what, but I thought that was pretty neat to get. Anyway, this is a really good pop record from the mid 80s there, 84. And to get the promo was really cool. And yeah, these guys were pretty political in their day. You know, I think there's songs in here about war and stuff like that, you know, anti-war songs. Yeah, really good band. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Party album too. All right, so these next albums are going to be all indie. So maybe I'll just name the video Pop/Indie because, yeah, there's just some really good stuff here. Now, this album I need to spend more time with, but there's another album from this band that I really, really like. I wish I could get that I don't have on vinyl yet. This came out August 1st, 93, and it's Hazel. This is To Reader of Love. Kind of a weird name for a record, but yeah, this is a really good kind of power punk record, pop punk record from Hazel. Jack Endine, I believe, and Jack Endino helped produce this record. Came out in 1993. Really cool album. Like this record. I haven't seen this in a while since I bought it, so, you know, not necessarily, maybe not hard to find, but you definitely don't see it in the wild too often, at least not here in North Carolina. Now, the next album is really good. This came out May 95. This is Slant 6. This is in Zambia. This is another kind of pop punk band or garage punk band from the 90s. These guys were on Discord Records. All-female group. 3 girls do a great job on this album. Fantastic record. I really, really like the Slant 6. I have their first album too. The cover on my first album isn't as in great a shape, but the album is good. And yeah, buy both these records, in Zambia and the first album. I think it's Soda Pop or something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but if I remember the name of it, I'll put it here. Slant 6, great album. Now, this is one of my favorite records that I actually own. I got the reissues of this as well, but when I was buying albums in 2017, these reissues were nowhere on the map. Like, I had no idea they were even going to come out. This is one of my favorite punk rock records from the 90s, and it's Team Dresch. This is Captain My Captain. This album is fantastic. It's a 5 out of 5, 100%. Perfect album. Very melodic, very punk. Just great. I got to see these guys live. They played stuff from this album. They played stuff from their first album, Personal Best. Really good stuff here. If you want a great pop punk record or punk rock record with some melody on it, this is a fantastic album. Just fantastic. Really great. Queercore. So, you know, be advised of that, I guess. I think it's fantastic, but I don't necessarily care about that stuff, and maybe some people would. But yeah, fantastic album. 100%, 5 out of 5. All right, the next album, this album now, I'm kind of disappointed in this because when I went to go buy this album, there was two of them in the bins. One of them was the reissue, or one of them was the, what's the name of that company? One of them was the Vinyl Me Please issue of the album, and the other one was just a regular issue of the album. Now, I went with the Vinyl Me Please, and when I looked at the album, it looked fine. But playing this album, it's just not in great shape. It's kind of scratched up, so there's a lot of popping, not necessarily super loud popping, but there's noise throughout the record, which is really disappointing because it's a very quiet album. It's a fantastic record. I really, really like it. It's Torres Sprinter. Fantastic album. Came out May 2015. Really, really good stuff here. And it's just, I really need another copy of this. I really, really, really do. It's just, I really have a hard time buying albums that I already have. So every time I play this, it kind of bugs me, but I get through it because it's so good. So yeah, I need to pick up another one of these, but this is a really, really good album. It's not like 5 out of 5, but it's still really, really good. I really like Torres, and I have all her stuff. So even the album before this now, I finally got her first album. Anyway, Torres is great. I like this album. All right, so I'm going to go through these next ones a little bit quicker. I picked up the Firestarter soundtrack from Tangerine Dream. This came out in 1984. This is, synth. If you see the first movie, this is okay. I think I got it for $5 or $10. It wasn't that much. And Firestarter, I like horror movies, and it's just kind of a synthy soundtrack, so I like it. Next album I found was a mono version of an album that came out March 15th, 1966, and that's Boots by Nancy Sinatra. I showed a Nancy Sinatra record before, so I got this one after that. Obviously, Boots Were Made for Walking is a really good song on here. A lot of these other songs are covers and probably other songs that were written by Lee Hazelwood. Yeah, I can see, because, her and him worked together pretty much on all her stuff. So, Boots by Nancy Sinatra. I also got the soundtrack to MGM's Shaft. This is a pretty cool soundtrack, obviously. Isaac Hayes, really good stuff here. 70s exploitation, kind of, the Isaac Hayes 70s soul kind of soundtrack. So it's pretty good, and obviously has the Shaft theme on here, which is always fun to listen to. So I got that. I picked up in the dollar bin this 1982 kind of mini album, single kind of thing, or EP from Scandal. This has that song. This has the song Goodbye to You on it, which was a big single for them. And yeah, it's a pretty good song. Plays great. It was just in the dollar bin. This one I got at the thrift store. This was 50 cents. Howard Jones, Humans Lib. Single. But yeah, I haven't listened to this that much. But Howard Jones. Got it for 50 cents. This came out in 1986. This is kind of like an all-girl kind of punk pop band that came out in the 80s. Who had an EP? I have their full length too. Again, I haven't spent much time with this. Obviously, like I said before, when female artists pop up, I kind of just have to buy it for some reason. It just is what it is. Yeah, so I'll spend some time with this. Maybe I'll spin it again. But yeah, I bought this a little while ago. And yeah, I think I'm going to put it on actually. So that's the end. That's all I got for pop. And thanks. Bye.